10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, nuclear proctologist.org, and you can find so much documentation about the Fukushima expeditions for life up at the nuclear proctologist. We got a really unusual story that just can't wait. It can't wait to be told. And hi to everybody in the chat room. We're up and running. Looks like everything is good. Elaine and cruising. And I know nobody was expecting a chat or stream tonight, so don't feel bad about it. Hi Elaine, which is Shanigan for anybody that's paying attention. Jan Brooks. Looks like an article from The Onion, says Jan Brooks. Miss Milky the Clown 1. You'll find links below. Hi everybody. Cruising was making fun early in the game. It looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. And before we get rolling tonight, I've done a lot of work on the audio today in the hopes that I got a noise gate, so when I stop talking, it's pure silence, right? And then the audio is supposed to jump back. And you know how noise cancelling for your headphones is? This is like noise cancelling for your microphone. And so you don't have that buzzing sound. We got that tone back. We've got good headphones. Went out and picked up decent headphones today. Not the ones I was hoping to get, but you can hear the details. It's easier to clean up the audio that way. And this is quite a story. Once again, we're just double checking for the audio. And don't worry about it. I guess the audio is fine. Before we get started, we're about to start in any moment. Hi, everybody. And so we'll just get going. Starlight. That's the comment section. We got that piped in on the HDMI from the external computer. I can plug in another external if I want to, and then pipe that in. I can't pipe the audio over, but I can pipe the video or the screen over. I can play the audio over speakers, but I do have a system here that I might be able to pipe the audio through. I'm supposed to be able to, but I still have to get the kinks out of it. Now, Japanese law. The shares of Tokyo Electric Power Company Holding just went up 12%, which owns the reactors, rose by a whopping 12% on the news that the Niigata prefecture governor was not seeking re-election. And so 12% is an enormous amount of money. It looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. And so the only problem with the story, and I guess this is should qualify as a issue, is you're looking at the reactor. How are you going to restart that reactor? That's reactor 3. This is a 10-second clip just for starters. And there's 5 reactors were at the roof, on the roof. And when you overlay them over the original cutaway model, how are you going to restart that reactor again? I'm a little confused. And not only that, how are you going to restart reactor 4? This is 6 reactors in each of these buildings. There was a reactor in the core of 1, 2, and 3. This one allegedly was empty, but there were 6 reactor cores in the fuel pools, 10 years worth of fuel. And so it's a deadly dose anywhere on the site, and they only send in the homeless, the destitute, the immigrants. Are they going to restart these reactors? How are you going to plug them in? And so this is really ludicrous stuff that they're talking about when we know the reactors blew apart. We know where the reactor core went straight up in the air, and then it came back down, melted, whatever was there, melted down. The tsunami washed it all over the site. The buildings are completely and utterly, hopelessly destroyed. They blew their top and everything else, completely annihilated. And you look at the structure of the reactor. See that bulb at the top center? On reactor 4, look where it's to. And it's not pinned to anything. And let's bring me into this. Let's switch gears. I'll go this way. Hopefully that works. Yeah, there I am. And so just once again, I want to check and make sure the audio is working out. Yeah, got to run, Jan. You bet. I'm Barely a breeze, says Elaine. Hurricanes, no luck. I have louder sound, so cruising is happy. Good sound, says Starlight. Hi, J.O. Piggy, 51, Pega, Pay it, Pa. Yeah, see you later, Jen. Jen has been took the summer off. She hasn't stopped for 5 years on the Fukushima. The homeless in Japan are wizards. Okay. So let's come back over to that story. It looks like Japan will reactivate Fukushima's reactors. Once again, the site is destroyed, right? You got to realize how bad that country was hit. All these reactor buildings were in the war zone. You know, they blew up and threw the rods all over the site. The tsunami ran through it. And this is 400 kilometers of the coastline. For the dailycaller people that are going there reading that stuff, it is the most bizarre thing imaginable. And so all these people died in the 400 kilometer zone because the tsunami ran through their country, yeah? And the power plants, there's 15 of them in the same zone where everybody died. This is what it looked like. That's why everybody died, because it looked like that. That's why those numbers are there, because it looked like this. The red are the ones that died, the yellow are the ones that were missing. Not to mention they picked up 30 million one-ton bags because of the reactors. Oh, but they're going to go in and restart these things. Okay, now let's come over and talk about the story. And this is an interesting story. That's why we're doing the video. I'm not doing it for something to do. I'm doing it because it's an interesting story. And it's going to take a little while to get through it all. And that's all right. That's okay. No big worries. So the original story, Japan might reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. Okay. So that's as strange a statement and a headline as you can imagine. So that was Andrew Follett, an energy and environmental reporter. But can you imagine how arrogant this alleged reporter is, and why shouldn't he have his degree taken away from him for writing an article? He obviously, if he doesn't know anything about it, which would appear to be the case, he should lose his degree. And if he's just an apologist for the industry making a buck, and I'll show you why this is important coming up here. It looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. So there's 6 reactors at the plant. None of them are going to be reactivated. They sprayed salt water and they're all destroyed anyway. They all blew apart. He says no deaths or cases of radiation sickness were caused by the incident. Okay. That's quite the statement. There's 5,000 plant workers suffering internal radiation exposure. You get a single atom in your body, and you get cancer 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, but there's 1,800 diseases, autoimmune deficiencies will show up before that. Top 3, alarming issues of recent discovery radioactive hotspots in Tokyo. So anybody's breathing it, they're done in 20, 30, 40 years. Iodine was fissionable product back in October 2011. When they were washing people's hair, it was coming off in clumps because of the... And that's not what we wanted to get at. Let's come back over here. You look at these reactors. There's still not enough power to run crucial machinery after connecting the power lines. No, because there's nothing there to connect power to, right? And somebody should tell the dailycaller. And let's come back over to that. So we're going to be back and forth, because this is kind of a funny story as I tell this. You'll understand where I'm coming from. But there were 7 people died on one street in Fukushima Prefecture, dropped dead of a heart attack on a shopping street. Just got out of the car or walking down the road and fell over dead in the last couple of years. So Andrew is way out of touch. Okay, let's close that one. Let's open the next one. So just to center myself, it looks like Japan will reactivate. Like, what does that even mean, reactivate? What the frig is he talking about? Where did he come up with that word for this context? Like, a big, hang on. So you can find the dailycaller over at Drudge Report. That's Drudge Report. So, you know, right off the bat, these are real bootlickers. These are serious bootlickers. And we'll figure it out, Daily Caller. So the Daily Caller, Tucker Carlson, editor-in-chief, this was created by him, and Neil Patel, and Vince Connolisi, Paul Connor, all these people. So the Daily Caller is a political, conservative, American news opinion website based, but that's not an opinion to come out and say that they're going to restart the reactors. That's the stupidest statement imaginable. That's the most despicable, because people that read it think the reactors are okay, when in fact the reactors are completely destroyed and radiated and killed most of the Pacific Ocean at this stage, as we documented for 260 days on 5 expeditions along 15,000 miles of the Canadian coastline. And we'll touch up on that before we take off. But I wanted to come out, even though I done a show today, I had to come out and respond to this one because people are starting to parrot that out on the internet. People are out there thinking that the reactors can be restarted based upon Tucker, silly Tucker Carlson. So shouldn't Tucker Carlson, here's how I see this, along, you know, when it comes to Andrew. Should Tucker, I like that name too. Should Tucker Carlson, I was looking for my little bow tie so I can have a bit of fun there, but I can't find it. I know there was a little weird looking guy broke in here a little while back and stole some of my underwear, and I was missing my little bow tie at the same time. Okay, that's a joke. I made that stuff up. Well, look, should Tucker Carlson, a daily... Let's bring that up, because we can. Here's my a way to resolve this. So the Daily Caller, if it was to have a, say an IQ test for the journalists, for the reporters and that, it could be pretty straightforward. You could have weeded out people like Andrew. You could have said, well, which boots fit on which feet, and got Andrew to see. He would have failed it for sure, right? They would have gave him a comb and put toothpaste on it and asked him to brush his teeth. And if he did, then he would have failed it. But he would have, and he would have failed it because he would have known the difference. He doesn't know the difference between a toothbrush and a hairbrush. He wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. He's not that clever. See, Andrew's not. The guy who wrote the article that they're going to restart the reactors in Japan. It would be like it'd be like taking your dog out to play on a highway in rush hour. And if he said, yeah, I'll take the doggy out to play on, then you know that he's too stupid and he should be allowed to write articles. But it'd be easy if you took away all the help that he got, the people that tie his shoes up every day, and then see if he can remember how to tie his own shoes. Like when he comes in for a job application with the Daily Caller, Tucker could have, you know, like round circles and square holes, and if he tries to put it in a square hole, they know he's not. He would have too. Andrew would have. Oh yeah, baby. He would have took his shoe off and started smacking it, and then he would have asked someone to help him put his shoe back on. That's how we know he does that. Because when you ask him why did he take his shoe off, he said he was trying to get the round ball through the square hole. That's Andrew we're talking about, right? And so Andrew Follett, he could have been weeded out. All Tucker had to do was have some of these simple tests. Like he could have had, say, a fork and a knife and a spoon, and then had labels and asked Andrew to put the labels along the fork and the knife and the spoon. Andrew, there's no way he would have passed it. So he would have failed that, yeah? Or like they could have took a light bulb and they get a glass of water and tell Andrew to put his finger in the glass of water, make sure the socket is working, they can switch the switch on at the same time. And then they wouldn't have to worry about Andrew getting out there in the world and doing this to somebody else. Right? They could eliminate it. Like that should be people like that are foolish enough to, and Andrew is one of them. It's obvious, to me it's pretty obvious that he doesn't speak English or anything, and that he's not able to fend for himself, and that Carlson Tucker at the Daily Caller took pity on Andrew and hired him, and then he feels protective over Andrew because Andrew is so incompetent. That would make some sense. Or Andrew was the only survivor of a plane crash, maybe, right? Maybe Maybe Andrew's an alien from another planet and they're trying to assimilate the aliens in and they got to let him write stupid stuff just to get along with the aliens. That would make sense. Or maybe Andrew blackmailing Tucker Carlson. Maybe that's what's going on. That could actually be what's going on here. Is Andrew is able somehow to blackmail Tucker Carlson. He found out about Tucker Carlson's Barbie doll collection maybe and got pictures. And so that's why he's working at the Daily Caller. Would that make some sense? Maybe he's the illegitimate child of Tucker Carlson. And Tucker is stuck with it. And rather than fight with his horrible ex, he decided just to let Andrew, because Andrew, no one really reads it. As soon as they read one of his articles after that, they never bothered reading anything he ever wrote. And he's kind of like advertisement on the page, filling up these little gaps. No one's going to go back and read his article after you read that article. You'll never go read another Andrew Follett article. Why would you? How could you? And so, Andrew, we shouldn't be angry at Andrew is the takeaway, I think, from this, because he's so incompetent. It's so salacious. It's like a cry for help or something. Maybe Tucker is trying to get favors from him and he feels pressure. And this is his way of lashing out at Tucker is to put out these salacious headlines. Maybe he hates the Daily Caller and he's trying to get back at him. So he writes these ridiculous stories that they're going to restart the reactors, reactivate. What is he talking about? What, are you going to give it a needle and it's all going to come back to life like a junkie? But nobody knows. Andrew should write books about the things that go on in his head. And we can make science fiction movies out of a type, fantasy movies and stuff like that. He'd probably be really good. Because he knows where to put his dots and stuff. And he crossed all of his T's. Yeah, I know it's digital and it does it automatically. But he was able to get that to work, I think. Or someone helped him. Maybe Tucker was... The only reason Andrew is there is because Tucker hired somebody else, and the only way to justify him because they had no skills was to hire Andrew so they can help Andrew. That is it there. That is probably what happened. That is why Andrew is allowed to write at the Daily Caller. Maybe Andrew has the same blood as Tucker Carlson, and in case there's an accident, they'll be able to call, and he signed a pack. I don't know, right? These are things we're talking about and exploring and writing books about, making movies about. I know that much. Because how, out of touch with reality. So he can't be a PR firm and be this incompetent. There's something else deeper and darker going on here. He was traumatized. I don't know who his parents are, but I'm not saying his parents are bad people. But they should have seen signs of this manifesting along the line. Maybe they're big donors to the White House. And so, let's get back to the story because otherwise I'm going to keep going and I probably will anyway. And so staff and the Daily Caller in the White House rotating press poll. So maybe Andrew, just bear with me, maybe Andrew has something to do with the White House press poll. Right, and so maybe one of the press, they knocked up one of the maids at the White House, and Andrew was born, and Carlson knew the story, and the kid was rejected, of course, and then molested by all the politicians, and he decided to get it out of that. That would make some sense, out of the White House, out of that violent atmosphere. And so the Daily Caller also hosts several blogs and columns on its website, including people like, Ann Coulter. Don't get me wrong, Ann Coulter's a lawyer, like an actual lawyer. And so she's got a clever head on her shoulder, I can assure you. And she's wrote, I don't know how many books now. Incredible books, incredible Judge Report, got a hard on for her all the time. Whatever that's all about. But see, if you go to Judge Report, everybody at the bottom of that page listed These are the status quo. Like all judges, he just puts links up to everybody. That's all he does. He's nobody special. He don't write articles. He don't do the interviews. Only a rare random. You can't find a recent picture of him. He's so paranoid. And allegedly, he sets the tone. Now, he puts Tucker Carlson up there all the time. Tucker farts. Drudge is like, woo, man, that was wicked. I got to tell Ann. Ann's got to smell it. Give me a bottle. And so Ann writes columns, and she's like the most salacious thing maybe Tucker and Ann Coulter. See, that would make sense. Yeah. Had a baby, and he named it Andrew Follett. And so he raised him probably in a monastery in the jungles of Asia after the Vietnam War. I think Ann Coulter used to go down there and snort Agent Orange during the war. I'm not sure. I like Ann, don't get me wrong, but she strikes me that kind of lazy. She'd snort Agent Orange off a naked bum anytime. That'd be Ann. So I'm only trying to figure out why Andrew Follett is called a reporter and why he's allowed to write with the White House press club lapdogs. Would that make any sense? Excuse me. Well, I can't really make any sense out of this anyway. He says there's only one melter reactor, but let's go revisit that for a few minutes, because that's what I mean. How can he be so incompetent that he thinks that there's only one melter reactor? Especially when this place blew up. It could last months. This was way back in the day. Look at the power of this thing at the nuclear power plant. Not enough power to get crucial power. Well, you can't plug it in anywhere. So how is Andrew expecting anybody to restart it? You got to realize all these buildings couldn't get power because all the telephone poles. They need an external coal power plant or a fuel plant, oil plant or something to run those reactors. And so when a country is like this, it's pretty obvious there's no telephone poles around and that the coal plants are all in disarray and destroyed too. This is 400 kilometers of coastline. There's 15 reactors, right? That couldn't go in a coal shutdown. Allegedly, some of them did, but that's not true. We got the documentation. And Fukushima governor strongly demand TEPCO decommission, dismantle all 10 nuclear reactors. You know why? Because the whole country was destroyed. The fuel pools in reactor 5 and 6, this is Fukushima Prefecture. The fuel pools at this place in the buildings never got no power, including reactor 5 and reactor 6, and they melted down too. That's what's going on. And so there is no reactors. Now, if you go listen to the official story, that's the official picture of Unit 4, and that's the official picture of Unit 4, huh? Because they lied to you, see? It actually looks like that. But this is what the building should look like. And the fuel pools, 5 reactor cores are up in the top part of that roof. Do you see a top part of that roof anymore? No. See? But they want you to think that the reactors survived while everything else was destroyed. They want you to think it's beautiful. Now, so, maybe Andrew is a love child of Abe and Tucker, right? Abe in Japan and Tucker Carlson. Maybe they had a child. His name was, if you say Abe backwards, it's Andrew, right? Yeah, if you say Abe backwards, it sounds like Andrew. Trust me, I'm an expert on names backwards. And so, but TEPCO, it was when the mayor says no, the shares rose by a whopping 12%. And then some idiot come out and said, oh, Jesus, they're going to restart the reactor too. You better buy more shares, because he was in there buying shares. Is that what was going on? And it was going up. He had the inside report. They were buying shares. It rose by 12%. Think about how big that actually is, what we're talking about, how much money was changing hands all day, how many people made $1 million in a matter of 10 and 20 minutes. And then what they do is they come up with these salacious headlines and other people buy into the shares too. Oh, I'm going to go buy some reactor TEPCO shares because the shares are rising by 12%. And then Andrew sells his. Yeah? Maybe that's what's going on. Do you think that could be probably what's going on? Would you be surprised if it was what's going on? Would you want to bet any money that is exactly what was going on? This was insiders trading. And they took it to a whole new level. And he said, haha, you should, instead of saying, come and buy TEPCO shares, saying, they might restart the reactor. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah? That's how vicious these people are. That's how out of control. That's why they call them thugs. Like Tucker Carlson wears a little bow tie to disarm you, to neutralize you the way you look at him, to think that he's, well, gee, you know, he must hang out with a pretty smart crowd walking around with a bow tie because you wore a bow and tie around my neighborhood. You get the shit kicked out of you when you walk down the street. Hey, smarty boy, come here. I got to grease your head, boy. You think you're a big shot walking around here with a bow tie on? I'll smarten you up, you little puke. Right? They know that, see? But in the fantasy world of the White House Press Club and stuff like that, a bow tie is trendy, is radical, is the way, you know, oh, he's pretty harmless, wears a bow tie. Meanwhile, you dead now, you die now. Hello, TEPCO, I'll kill him now, I'll kill him good, yeah. No, I no strangle tie, I got bow tie dummy. I stab him with kitchen knife. What color? What color you think I should use? No, this is not absurdity night, no. This is not insane night, no. This is supposed to be my night off. But I got to come out because this is over the top. This is out of control. These people are maniacs. They're out there indoctrinating the population, and everybody's picking it up and republishing it, rebroadcasting it. But it's an unbelievable, unimaginable fabrication. It's a disgusting betrayal to the human species. I'll show you why. If you got the guts, if you're a man enough, if you can handle the truth, can you handle the truth? This is me up on the coastline of British Columbia, Canada over the last couple of years. That's a little Zodiac. There's a little bit bigger Zodiac. And I spent 260 days, 15,000 miles of the coastline. And this will get a little loud for a second. Don't worry about it. I'll switch it right off. So we're at the entrance of Louise Narrows. We're going to go down. That's the west side. We're at the south. Okay, that's Louise Narrows, one of the most popular spots in Canada. You know why? Because it used to look like this. It used to look like that. It was incredible. It was unimaginable. I'm talking to Tucker Carlson. Well, I was there, right on the rocks, as you've seen in the video. And so before it looked like that above me, and after it's naked. There's a zoom in of that naked. But think about that diversity. Think about that incredible. Now think about it's all gone. Think about something like that where the whole coastline looked like that. But because of Fukushima's melted reactors, it looks like that. Not like this anymore, never will again. The 4.2 million other species never even bothered to recede the coastline. It doesn't look like that. No one wants to go there and look at that. Why would you get a big yacht and sail the coastline and look at something like that? Because it used to look like that. Like this and like this. And it was magic. You stop and eat wherever you want. Every millimeter, every centimeter is jostling for life. It's thriving, striving. And there's 4.2 million other species kept at bay because this ecosystem has reached its capacity of species. And it's around 5,600 species. Now, after doing the whole coastline, the entire coastline, repeatedly, for 260 days, up to 5 months without coming home, I discovered less than 100 species throughout the entire coastline. And that out of that 100 species, in any given spot, you'd be lucky, very lucky, to find 4, 5, 6, or 7 species. None of them are going to be healthy. None of them are going to look like that. No matter where you went, it's not going to look like that ever again. And we can assert that. The ocean current from Japan comes here in 45 days. The jet streams come here right away. The reactors, like you've been looking at over and over and over, totally destroyed. You can't restart that. What is he talking about? We're going to restart it. That's reactor 3 there. What are you going to restart? Andrew? Carlson Tucker? And why was that article, why was that allowed to be put out there? Why are people republishing that out there? It's because they're all just sick, demented, twisted, out of control monsters. They're all soulless, spineless, heartless, bootlicking, cheerleading lapdogs for whatever industry wants them today or tomorrow or the next day. That they will sell out their own grandmother, they'll suck the blood out of her if they thought they can get an extra few dollars. That they'll demonize you and vilify you so they can be on what they call a winning team. But they don't have any emotions like me or you. They don't have any kind of responsibility. There's no one at home accountable. There's no checks and balances. And they got all the money they ever wanted. Everything they ever wanted. They all live in mansions. They all drive the most expensive cars. They all eat at the most expensive restaurants. They have money thrown at them constantly. It's a perpetual misery machine. And they won't give it up. They won't slow it down. They won't leave. They won't let the planet have an opportunity. They won't stand tall and get counted. They won't do something right. They won't do something important. They'll do the opposite, where they'll come out and demonize anybody that's trying to have that conversation, vilify anybody that's trying to make some headway in that. Ignore the subject completely, or come out and radically, just completely out of control. Looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. They changed the headline after it went up in the Google search engine on purpose. They have a headline to suck you in. To have a headline to suck you in. It's shocking what these people have done. Let's come back over here for 1 second. So the Daily Caller, the Mirror, is Fishbowl DC editor, Betsy Rostow. Like they're connected as you can get. You can't get any more connected than these people. And Drudge got him up there on his page all the time, and all these stupid stuff is being disseminated out today as we talk. These idiotic, moronic, it looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. This was meant to bring in shareholders, because they just went and grabbed a whole bunch. They're waiting for it to climb up, right? A little bit more so they can shake it and make a few extra dollars. But people out there are saying, oh, well, Dana's not too bad because they're going to look, the Daily Caller, they're the press club. They're saying they're going to start the reactors, Dana. You're not a big fancy Andrew Follett, Dana, energy environmental reporter, Dana, for Tucker Carlson, Dana. No, I know I'm not. Does that mean that they shouldn't have checks and balances? Does that mean that there's somebody shouldn't keep an eye on this? That somebody shouldn't pay attention? That somebody shouldn't try to have a conversation about it? Or somebody shouldn't say, hey, no one's going to hold them accountable. No one's going to get fired. No one's going to get yelled at. No one's going to lose their degree. But at least I came out and said something. At least I didn't sit there and keep my mouth shut. Because how could I? How could I not come out and say something about that? It looks like Japan will reactivate the Fukushima nuclear reactor. It's so disappointing. It's so depressing to see people like this exist, and that they're put up on a big podium and they're allowed to do whatever they want and say whatever they want, no matter the harm they cause. There's no repercussions for them. They make money no matter what they do, as long as you come out and tell a great big fat lie. And how do you win against people like that when they dominate the news, they dominate the Twitter, they dominate the Facebook, they dominate all those feeds, because those feeds pump these people out there. That Drudge, the biggest thing out there, pumps them out there all the time. They're not worried about me. They don't care about me. They might get a strike on my account for Deere talking about them, but I'll get it lifted, as I have done so many times in the past, just to maintain my ability to come out and have a simple live stream. I have to fight for that right. I've had it taken away from me up to 6 months at a time repeatedly now. And that I was in the right, but yet YouTube and Google wouldn't listen, because you're talking about a handful of monsters that will destroy me, destroy you and everybody around you so they can make $1 today and tomorrow, right? Why they destroy everything, why there's no future for anybody else, and why it's never enough for them. They can never make enough. They can never scam enough. They can never be prestigious enough. They have to be evil. They can't do it honestly for some reason. They can't find a real job, even though they're capable. For some reason, they got to be evil to make the dollar. And the more twisted and demented and out of control, and names I'm not going to say, you are, they are, and have been and will be and always are bred to be that way by the institutions, universities, and that in order to get the job, they got to be the vicious of the vicious of the vicious of the vicious in their circle, or the love child of Abe and Tucker Carlson. That would make a lot of sense too. And that what kind of planet are we if we sit here and allow them to get away with it without at least coming out and trying, at least coming out and have a conversation? That's all I'm doing. I'm coming out and saying, sometimes it seems hopeless. Sometimes it seems insurmountable to talk about these people, to come out and challenge these people. But why? It's very clear what happened. These are meltdowns, melt-throughs, melt-outs. The buildings are completely 100, that's unit 4, that's unit 4. They don't look like that anymore. You can't restart something that don't exist. That's unit 3. That's 2 million times worse than any reactor on the planet, 4,500 times worse than all the reactors on the planet. And that was 6 reactor cores in this building. We're not talking about the other 5 reactor cores. We're just talking about 1 reactor core. And so I wasn't going to sit here tonight and allow that, even though I know nobody will watch my video outside of several hundred people, 400 or 500 people. YouTube will censor me. Google is censoring me. I got 20,000 subscribers. I count my blessings if I can get 400 views these days. And everybody knows, everybody tells me they're unsubscribed. They don't know why, they don't get my messages that I'm posting. They don't know why. Over and over and over and over and over. They don't get any notification. They don't know that I got any videos up. Google doesn't tell them this. Google doesn't inform them of that. Over and over and over and over. Google unsubscribed them from me. And that is not a fable. That is not an imagination. No, not at all. That is reality. And that's the end of our reality tonight. It's just that the Daily Caller is not some small time rag that they still deserve to be called out. They still deserve to have the checks and balances. They still deserve to have a proper narrative. Let's bring up everybody. We say goodnight. And I'm most curious of how the audio was tonight. And I don't know why it's doing that. Let's fix that. Oh, yeah, there you go. And Nuts for Art is the Age of Fission radio show. Folks, anybody's looking at that right now. That's her YouTube channel, is Lonnie. And I'll be on that tomorrow morning. Squealing away about the nuclear industry. And I do. Nuts for Art. Thank you, Lonnie. Yes, I do. You're welcome, Lonnie. Thank you for what you're doing, honey. And I know how hard you work and what you're doing. And so anything I can do to help is great. And I know nobody expected a stream tonight. And so I appreciate everybody found a few moments to drop by, and those that are here for the haul and have always been. And Elaine and Starlight and Cruisin' and OPEC. Oh, I can't pronounce that. I don't know. I'm not even going to try. I don't know how to. It's 51. We'll call you 51. Cruisin' and Elaine and her son and everybody. Hugs for everybody. I'm just making sure I got everybody's name. So I hope the audio came out good. Audio was good. Great sound. Cruisin'. You're welcome, Lonnie. Thank you, Lonnie. Everybody. And it's good to hear that the audio is finally starting to kind of work. And in between, you notice how there's no big hissing going on. We managed to get the kinks out of that. You're welcome, Nuts. Yeah, no, that was a terrible lie to come out and tell us they're going to restart the reactors in Japan. I didn't want to do anything tonight. I wanted to relax because I done a 1-hour show this morning. I'm burnt out, and I got to do one tomorrow. and then Lonnie's show tomorrow morning before I do my show. And, like, it's okay, I don't mind. I like it. I'm good. Hugs for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for dropping by. And once again, my motto. Sometimes you got to. And we know Amters is out there later, and Candace and everybody else will catch up. And anybody I didn't get tonight, hugs for you folks. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning, 10:30 at this site, Beautiful Girl by Dana, 8 a.m. Age of Fission radio show. And it won't be hard to find that. Take care, folks. We'll see